His name is Southern Drawl. Southern Drawl Law. The most Southern Drawl Law of all. He's born in a southern town. He was a cop and a liar. When I use my draw, liar sounds like liar. That's what I'm talking about. What's up, guys? Here's the old school way I used to do my videos. I saw this clip on Southern Drawl Law, and he perfectly explains in a very lawyerly and professional way what I call the RAPIST mentality. The cops aggress on you, and then if you don't like it, they blame you as if you forced them to get violent with you. I call it the RAPIST mentality. It's like you do this something to a woman you shouldn't do, and then you blame her for being out at a certain hour or wearing a certain type of clothing is the reason you had to do what you did to her. So I call it the RAPIST mentality. Here's James, an actual professional, former cop, former lawyer, how he explains in a very rational way what I do in a crude way.
On to the next story. Remember the case of Charles Roberts, who was the man who was jaywalking across the street. He was stopped by Mansfield police officer Nelson, and the extent to which Nelson was authorized to do anything to him included nothing more than issuing him a citation for jaywalking at best, right? But Nelson tells him to put his hands on the vending machine, and Roberts says no. And that then results in Nelson laying hands on him, crushing him under both of their body weight and gravity, and breaking like 7 of his ribs. He ends up staying in the hospital for 6 days, has thousands of dollars in medical damages, right? So people come into the comments, and of course what they say is, he was actively resisting. This is my...
So, yeah, actively resisting. What did he do to begin with? He walked. He violated a walking law. So a cop used a walking law to impede an American's freedom. And from that point on, the cop believes he can take your life if you resist. And if you don't like it, he blames you for forcing him to do that to you. I'm going to try not to interrupt.
Question, and this is the only point I really have to make about this case. Let's say that I see an attractive woman that I just want to kiss. So I walk up to her and I say, hey, I'm going to kiss you, and you're going to stand still. Now, if said woman decided to defend herself from my advances, how crazy would it be if people responded to that by saying, well, she was actively resisting. What did she expect to happen? You would never say that. You would never say that about anybody else. Police officers are the only people on the planet that the public gives this free pass for doing whatever the fuck they want to people without consequence.
Truth!
As crazy as people would sound in the comment section from some lady being physically assaulted by a guy who just decided that he wanted to make her his, if they justified the conduct of the aggressor by saying, well, she was actively resistant, what did she expect to happen? You know, when a man wants to kiss you, you freaking let him do whatever he wants to do. What did you think what your job was? Do you think you have some sort of autonomy or free reign over your own body? Of course you don't. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But we do it for police.
And that's that bootlicker mentality. That's your frauditor trolls, your audit the audits. That's them. Just comply. Comply with the aggressor. And then bankrupt your family to try to take it to the even more aggressive judge who's on their same side.
Officers. What bootlickers and morons don't understand is that a police officer has no more of a right to put their hands on you absent certain constitutional framework that has been well established for over 50 years than a man who just wants to walk up and kiss your wife because he thinks she's attractive. So a woman who has a right to defend herself from an aggressive person advancing on her is no different than a citizen refusing unlawful commands that a police officer does not have a right to give them. And for pushing back against a police officer who is putting their hands on them in the absence of certain things that are required under the law. And people who defend it sound just as crazy as someone who would defend a man in the scenario that I just described. So
people who defend that police behavior and make excuses for it have the RAPIST mentality. Blame their victim.
Stop being a fucking idiot. Think for yourself. And just because you are willing to acquiesce to somebody violating your body doesn't mean that everybody else should be okay with it. If you want to be an idiot and allow yourself to be violated simply because of the status of the person who is violating you, that is your prerogative. But you don't get to project that bullshit onto everybody else. And lastly,
bless this guy, man. That's so well articulated. If you don't know who James White is, it's Southern Drawl Law. If you're not subscribed to him, you're missing out. He makes fantastic videos. And he eloquently explains something that I very crudely explain all the time. And it's as true as can be. You can't deny it. Thanks, everybody. Stay tuned for more. Much love. I'm John Felix, where even the haters like me. How you guys like that for a little catchphrase? Even the haters like me. All right, peace.